Suranne Jones is back on our TVs this weekend. But if you're expecting another gripping thriller from the queen of the small screen, then prepare yourselves for something entirely different.
Yes, she's swapping vigils for rituals as Suranne embarks on her first ever documentary exploring the chilling history of witches.
For much of history, witches and witchcraft have been viewed with fear and suspicion.
You had 200 years where women were terrified of being called a witch.
I'm going on an epic journey to uncover what led to some of the biggest trials in history.
There is a worry that witches are rampant and they are out to hurt the king and society.
Women were silenced. Women didn't have a voice, they were repressed. And it has been repeated and repeated and repeated. What do people think that they are going to achieve by sending those threats?
They want to shut you up. They want you to be so scared that you'll stop talking.
I mean, it's so different. Suranne joins us now to tell us more. It's completely different to what you've done before, even in the fact that it's a documentary and you don't know the ending of this script and you have to follow those twists and turns with it.
Yeah.
Why did you decide to do this?
Firstly, I was just saying to you both, kudos to presenters, because, like, it is a different thing. I get a script, I get the whole thing, I get to prep, I get to research, I get to rehearse. And with this, we started off with one story that we thought, oh, this is great, this is really interesting. And then the people that we interviewed started to uncover stuff, and then the narrative leads you. It's like a Who Do You Think You Are, in a sense. Only Who Do You Think You Are witches. And then it took us a year, 3 different countries, 3 different directors. It was a big thing to do and such a shift, but I loved it.
You've never been a witch. You've never been cast as a witch, though, have you?
No, but I'd love to be, Ben.
Oh.
So if anyone wants to, I'm here. I would love
You've got the background. You've done all the research.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, when I was younger, I think I didn't gravitate towards princesses. I love fairy tales. I love folklore. I loved. But I love witches and the wild women and the women that got the hands dirty, the women that were different, the magical, the rebels. And so I feel like this documentary has cemented why I choose my characters even in my 40s. It started right back then.
Well, it's so funny because they've got so much... Every time you talk about a witch in the documentary, got so much guts to them. What would you say were the characteristics?
So we meet Louisa McCormack, who is an art historian, and she's also a feminist lecturer. And so we looked at, the iconography of what a witch, you know, the green skin and the hats and they were and the cats and the brooms. And actually, you start to break it down and say, why did they have a broom? Why did they have a cauldron? And she. I was going to repeat what I said in the documentary, but there's a swear word, so I won't do that.
It's going against stereotypes.
Yes, it's about kind of them owning what people thought of what a woman, a cook and a cleaner, the cauldron and the broom, and they were taking those things and using them to fly into their own power and into their own feminine adventure and their journey. Only that's not what it was seen as a danger, but actually it was them reclaiming themselves and saying, no, I don't, the cauldron isn't for cooking.
No.
The broom isn't for cleaning. I need my own identity. So we met so many different people, and it just feels like it opened me up. I say it cracked me open as part of my history.
And what I loved as well, you say because it's Lancashire where you're from, and it seems like quite a lot of the darkness and the sort of the grit that you're talking about sort of came from Lancashire. The whole Pendle part was gripping, and that something sort of made sense to you. Then you were saying,
and so at that time, so the 17th century, you know, people didn't know who the rulers were, you know, whether Catholic or Protestant. They didn't know kind of what was going on with them.
It was changing a lot as well, wasn't it?
There was so much change, so much upheaval. And so a lot of so they say in the documentary that a lot of the people went to that corner of the UK and kind of hid.
misfits almost from
and travellers and I just felt like, oh, I was a bit of a rebel when I was younger. That kind of suits me. I liked that, yeah. But unfortunately, King James was deeply paranoid.
King James I, yes.
Yeah, and he wrote this book called Demonology, and it told people to look out for witches. So people were then trying to clean up their corners of their communities, and anyone that didn't conform to society, they were labelled a witch.
And what was interesting about the documentary is the language that was used back then and the ideas and the books that were written and the literature about witches and how they were and who these women were is still language, actually, that we're using today.
Yeah.
It's just been passed forward.
Yeah. So we talked to Louisa again about the Malleus Maleficarum.
Yeah.
And that was an awful book, nicknamed The Hammer of Witches as well, by this monk. And he labelled women that they made a pact with the devil, and if they had any sexual feelings or were promiscuous in any way, that's because they were in this pact with the devil and they were a witch. And then the printing press comes along and that book is then spread through communities.
Kind of like the social media of our time.
Exactly. Yeah. And then you have deep misogyny spreading through communities like we have in the internet.
Yeah.
And so when you think about it like that, these things that happened in the 17th century are repeating themselves.
You meet some modern-day witches or people that certainly feel akin to them. You did a little bit of howling.
Love to howl.
You did a little bit of howling on camera. The instinct of the howl comes from just...
It's Natasha Khan here is Back for Lashes. Yeah. So she does it when she's doing her music. And it's about basically owning that you can have a voice today and give yourself permission to be loud and to be heard. And for women, it's so funny because it feels so good. And so I've just finished a show for Netflix called The Choice. Yeah. I made the whole crew howl. So if you want to have a go...
Let's have a go. We've got 40 seconds.
You up for it? You up for it?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, we're in.
Go deep. Go deep and loud.
Okay.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Oh!
Shaggy. Oh, you sound like Shaggy.
Carl wasn't making much of an effort then, Carl.
Come on,
Carl, on your own.
Give us no. There's something very purging about it.
There is. The Witch Trials is on Sunday, on the 23rd of June.
Yeah.
9 p.m.
Episode, 9 p.m. Channel 4.
Channel 4, second episode the following Sunday, or you can box set it, stream it from and watch both.
That's how to do it.
And will you come back and talk to us about The Choice as well?
Yes, I'd love to.
And this very smart prime ministerial haircut.
On tomorrow's This Morning, we're joined by two interior design legends. Lawrence Llewellyn-Bowen will be telling us about his most outrageous TV show
It's just brilliant. And Linda Barker is surprising another lucky viewer with a front room facelift.
Plus, if you're counting down the days to your summer holiday, Steve Wilson will be here with the top travel gadgets. One more time.